Bitcoin is a digital platform that essentially keeps a public record of transactions. Bitcoin is the unit of value on that platform, and you can have any fraction of a Bitcoin up to 8 decimal places. The smallest being a Satoshi, which is 7 decimal places, 7 zeros and a 1. The way that Bitcoin works is using a blockchain technology, which is essentially having transactions onto a single page of a record book. Each page is known as a block. Owning Bitcoin is essentially like owning a credit card. However, there are transaction fees. These are a few days ago. This is $1.68 to have, basically you can pay a larger fee to have your transaction processed faster, compared to $4.19. However, these prices fluctuate wildly, and based on what's going on in the network, it will be more or less. Right now, it's actually the 6 block fee is $20 just because of how much market demand there is during this explosive growth phase. So major differences: Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. You have to trust the platform, and I have another video on this where I go into a little more depth. But essentially, cryptographic hashing is the platform, and if you believe that cryptographic hashing is secure, which essentially everybody does believe at this point in time, then you should trust. Then you can trust the platform. One thing that you have to consider, though, is you have to trust yourself in using this platform. In a centralized currency, you have banks and credit cards that will protect you, and the U.S. government if there's fraud or if the bank goes bankrupt. There is not the case in cryptocurrency. It's not the case in Bitcoin. If you lose your wallet ID to somebody, they own that money now. A Bitcoin is worth whatever someone will pay for it, and you can look that price up on a Bitcoin exchange. The most common in North America, I think, is Coinbase.com, where it's basically eBay for cryptocurrencies, virtual currencies. Last time I made this video, 3 days ago, the price was 11,000. Today, I woke up this morning and it was 15,000. So something to keep in mind. The incentive to own: privacy, independence, international adoption, what seems like explosive growth at this moment. But why would people actually mine Bitcoin? So Bitcoin miners operate nodes, which are essentially just computers. Essentially, there's a random process that Bitcoin miners are essentially playing the lottery, and the more lottery tickets that they have, or the more computers they have, or computer power they have, the more likely it is that they'll win the incentive. The incentive is, at the moment at least, if you publish a new page on the record or a new block, you are rewarded with 12.5 Bitcoins. This number started at 50 and halves every 210,000 blocks. So it started at 50, went to 25, then it went to 12.5. Like I said, every block on the blockchain gets generated every 10 minutes. So you can see there's kind of an obvious growth pattern here, right? And then over time, what will happen is it will hit the limit of 21 million Bitcoins. Right now, I think we're at about, let's see, it looks like 16 million or so. So we have a few more to go. At that point, there will be no new Bitcoins that are given to Bitcoin miners, and only transaction fees will be used to pay miners. But essentially, the miners will always have a job because they will be supporting the network and be paid with Bitcoin transaction fees. So in terms of inflation and deflation, these are some numbers that are actually incorrect, but inflation, obviously the amount of currency in say the US goes up every single year. So the amount of money that you have, if you own a fixed amount of money, actually the value of that money goes down, despite or even if you were to get more money, if it doesn't go up the same price as inflation, then you have less value, you have less wealth. Deflationary currencies, on the other hand, do not really change based on because essentially at a certain point there's going to be no new currency flowing into the system. Like I said, the network will only be supported by transaction fees. So you can imagine my analogy to savings account, where if you were to hold money in Bitcoin over a long period of time, it's sort of akin to holding it into a savings account, where you may be getting like 1.5% annual percent yield, which is probably about similar to keep up with the rate of inflation. So Bitcoin forks are basically when you take a copy of the record, and then you have two copies of the record. In this case, I have Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, and then going forward, Bitcoin will use white pages, Bitcoin Cash will use yellow pages to keep track of all the money. So you can essentially see this situation where you have twice as much money, at least for a short period of time. However, if people actually only care about Bitcoin, then your money in Bitcoin Cash will eventually be worthless, and vice versa. So it's really up to users to determine if they care about these forks, the white pages, the yellow pages. What I think though is that forks allow the platform to be very flexible, and as long as everybody agrees to use the new page, it allows the Bitcoin core developers to change the rules, and the hope is that the rules change in a way that benefits the community, or actually it will benefit the community, because if everybody uses it in the community, then it will be adopted. All right, so that's kind of my, as quickly as possible, run through my presentation. A little bit better than 30 minutes, but feel free to comment below, and hopefully you are paying close attention to the market right now, because like I said, there's kind of been another round of explosive growth phase.